Criticism has become an inescapable part of modern life. From social media comments to workplace feedback, it seems like every decision we make is under scrutiny. But here's the thing: what if criticism isn't something to fear or avoid? What if instead it could be a powerful tool for growth and self-improvement? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who lived thousands of years ago, believed exactly that. They saw challenges, not just criticism but any form of adversity, as opportunities to strengthen their character and cultivate inner resilience. Today, we're diving into 18 Stoic techniques designed to help you build unshakable resilience against criticism. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're practical strategies rooted in timeless wisdom that can transform how you respond to even the harshest feedback. Whether you're facing harsh words from others or struggling with your own inner critic, this video will show you how to harness the power of Stoicism to turn setbacks into stepping stones. So, are you ready to explore how ancient philosophy can equip you to thrive in today's fast-paced world? Let's get started. Have you ever found yourself tangled up in frustration because something didn't go as planned, even though it was completely out of your hands? That's where the Stoic principle of distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot becomes incredibly powerful. This idea isn't just about philosophy, it's a practical tool for emotional resilience, especially when facing criticism. At its core, understanding what is within your power gives you clarity. You start to see that you're not responsible for other people's opinions, external circumstances, or outcomes beyond your influence. Instead, your focus shifts inward to your reactions, decisions, and efforts. By doing this, you build an unshakable foundation of emotional stability. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His words remind us that true strength lies not in controlling everything around us, but in mastering our own responses. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine Sarah, who recently received some harsh feedback from her manager during a performance review. At first, she felt defensive. Her natural instinct was to push back against the criticism. But then she remembered the Stoic lesson of focusing only on what she could change. She realized she couldn't control whether her manager had misunderstood her intentions or exaggerated certain issues. What she could control, however, was how she chose to respond. So instead of reacting impulsively, Sarah took a deep breath, thanked her manager for the feedback, and asked clarifying questions. From there, she created a plan to address specific areas for improvement while letting go of anything outside her sphere of influence. This mindset doesn't mean ignoring valid concerns or becoming indifferent to challenges. Rather, it empowers you to approach situations with calmness and purpose. When you embrace what you can control, you naturally let go of what you can't, freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and allowing you to navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease. And isn't that what we all strive for? To face the world with confidence no matter what comes our way. Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This profound insight forms the backbone of one of Stoicism's most powerful principles, the dichotomy of control. At its core, this idea teaches us to distinguish between things we can control and those we cannot. When applied to criticism, it becomes an invaluable tool for resilience. Let's break this down. Criticism often feels personal, like a direct attack on our identity or worth. But when we pause and consider whether we truly have control over someone else's opinion, the answer becomes clear. No, we don't. What we do have control over is how we respond to that criticism. By focusing on our reaction rather than trying to change another person's perspective, we empower ourselves to handle negativity with grace and wisdom. Recognizing the difference between external factors like other people's words and internal factors, our thoughts and emotions is transformative. External events such as being criticized at work or receiving harsh feedback from a friend are outside your sphere of influence. However, your attitude, effort, and decisions about what to learn from the situation, those are entirely within your control. Shifting your focus inward allows you to take ownership of your response instead of feeling victimized by circumstances beyond your reach. Now here's where I want you to pause and reflect. Think back to a recent instance when you received criticism. Was it something constructive, aimed at helping you grow, or was it unkind and unwarranted? Regardless of its nature, ask yourself, how did I react? Did I dwell on the critique, allowing it to affect my mood or self-esteem? Or did I step back, evaluate its validity, and decide how to move forward? Understanding your patterns in these moments will help you identify areas for improvement and strengthen your ability to manage similar situations in the future. The beauty of embracing the dichotomy of control lies in its simplicity. It doesn't eliminate challenges or shield us from discomfort, but it does equip us with the mental framework needed to face them head-on. As we continue exploring more techniques to build resilience against criticism, remember this principle. You can't always choose what life throws your way, but you can always choose how you stand tall in the face of it. So let's carry this lesson forward as we dive deeper into the next technique. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and most importantly, keep reflecting on how you can harness Stoic wisdom to fortify your inner strength. Imagine life as a river constantly flowing and reshaping its course. Sometimes the water is calm, other times it rages with turbulent currents. But what if, instead of fighting the rapids, you learn to navigate them with grace? This is the essence of Amor Fati, a powerful Stoic concept that invites us to embrace everything that happens in our lives, both the pleasant and the challenging. When applied to criticism, this mindset transforms negative feedback from an obstacle into an opportunity for growth. At its core, Amor Fati teaches us to accept life's events without resistance. By doing so, we cultivate inner peace because we stop wasting energy on what we cannot control. As Seneca once wrote, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Criticism, no matter how harsh, becomes not just something to endure but something to welcome as a chance to refine ourselves. It challenges us to reflect deeply and emerge stronger, much like a muscle grows through resistance training. So how can you incorporate this philosophy into your daily routine? One practical way is through journaling. Set aside time each day to write about any difficult feedback you've received. Instead of focusing solely on the sting of the words, consider their potential value. Ask yourself, what lessons can I extract from this experience? How might it help me grow? Over time, this practice trains your mind to view even the toughest critiques as stepping stones toward personal development. By embracing Amor Fati, you shift from seeing criticism as an enemy to recognizing it as a teacher. And in that transformation lies the path to true resilience, a state where every challenge serves as fuel for becoming better versions of ourselves. Imagine this: someone leaves a harsh comment on one of your posts, questioning your abilities or intentions. Before you even realize it, your heart starts racing, and you feel the weight of their words pressing down on you. It's an automatic emotional response, something we all experience. But here's the key insight: our emotions don't have to control us. This is where cognitive detachment comes in. Cognitive detachment is the practice of stepping back emotionally from situations that trigger negative reactions. It's about creating space between what happens outside of you and how you choose to respond internally. The Stoics believed that our emotions often arise not from external events themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them. As Epictetus famously said, it's not the event that disturbs people, but their judgment about the event. By learning to pause before reacting, you can break free from the grip of those automatic feelings. So, how do we cultivate this skill? Start by practicing mindfulness during stressful moments. When faced with criticism, take a deep breath and observe your initial reaction without acting on it. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Is this reaction helping me, or is it just noise? Over time, this awareness allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. You'll begin to see criticism not as a personal attack but as information that may or may not be useful. Think of cognitive detachment like wearing a pair of sunglasses on a bright day. Without them, the glare might overwhelm you, making it hard to focus. But with the sunglasses on, you can still see clearly while protecting yourself from unnecessary discomfort. Similarly, detaching emotionally doesn't mean ignoring feedback altogether. It simply means filtering out the parts that aren't constructive so you can engage more rationally. By mastering this technique, you'll find yourself less shaken by others' opinions and better equipped to handle life's challenges. And remember, every step toward greater emotional resilience makes you stronger, not just in dealing with criticism, but in navigating all aspects of life. Let's explore another powerful tool next, one that builds on this foundation of rational thinking. Have you ever noticed how much power unexpected criticism can hold over us? It's not just the words themselves, it's the surprise, the suddenness that makes it sting so much. But what if we could take away its shock value before it even happens? Enter Premeditatio Malorum, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and one of the most powerful tools for building resilience against criticism. The phrase translates to the premeditation of evils, but don't let the name intimidate you. At its core, this technique is about proactively imagining potential challenges or criticisms in advance. By doing so, you strip them of their ability to catch you off guard. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoics, often reflected on the importance of being mentally prepared for life's uncertainties. He believed that when we anticipate difficulties, they lose their grip on our emotions because we've already rehearsed how to respond. Here's why this works. When you imagine the worst-case scenario, someone criticizing your work, calling out a mistake, or questioning your judgment, you begin to realize that these situations aren't as catastrophic as they seem. You might think, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen here? Chances are it's far less damaging than your mind initially made it out to be. Once you acknowledge that, the fear starts to dissolve. Let me give you an actionable tip to bring this into practice. Visualize constructive conversations instead of dwelling on negative ones. Before stepping into a meeting where feedback will be given, take 5 minutes to close your eyes and picture yourself receiving critique calmly. Imagine responding thoughtfully, asking clarifying questions, and turning the conversation into an opportunity for growth. This mental rehearsal helps build confidence and equips you with emotional armor against any sharp remarks. By adopting this proactive mindset, you're no longer at the mercy of unforeseen critiques. Instead, you become someone who meets challenges head-on, ready to adapt and improve. And isn't that the kind of resilience we all aspire to cultivate? As we move forward, let's explore another layer of strength, building one rooted in embracing discomfort rather than avoiding it. Stay tuned. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching the waves crash against the shore. Each wave rushes forward with force, only to retreat and vanish into nothingness, replaced by another in an endless cycle. This fleeting dance of water mirrors the impermanence of life itself, a concept the Stoics embraced through the practice of Memento Mori, or the reminder of our mortality. By reflecting on the transient nature of existence, we gain a powerful tool for navigating criticism with grace and perspective. When we truly internalize the brevity of life, something remarkable happens. Trivial concerns begin to lose their grip on us. The sharp sting of someone's disapproval or the weight of harsh words starts to feel less significant when measured against the limited time we have on this earth. As Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so." His wisdom urges us to prioritize what truly matters, not chasing validation from others, but investing in experiences and actions that align with our values. Consider this: does every critique you face really matter in the grand scheme of things? Will it still hold importance tomorrow, next week, or even a year from now? When viewed through the lens of eternity, much of what troubles us shrinks into insignificance. Instead of allowing external voices to dictate your worth, focus on living each day as if it were both infinite in potential and finite in duration. By adopting Memento Mori as a guiding principle, you free yourself from the shackles of unnecessary anxiety over other people's opinions. You reclaim your energy, redirecting it toward pursuits that bring meaning and fulfillment. So ask yourself, what would happen if you chose to let go of the need for universal approval? Could embracing the inevitability of endings help you live more fully right now? This profound shift in mindset doesn't eliminate challenges altogether, but it reframes them in a way that empowers resilience. And isn't that what we're all striving for? To meet life's trials with strength and purpose rather than fear or frustration. Let's explore further how cultivating such awareness can transform not just how we handle criticism, but how we approach life itself. Your mind is the most formidable fortress you'll ever command, and its walls are built not of stone but of your thoughts, values, and resolve. This is what the Stoics call the inner citadel, a sanctuary within yourself that no external force can penetrate unless you allow it. Imagine this citadel as a place where your peace, clarity, and strength reside, untouched by criticism, negativity, or chaos from the outside world. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest philosophers and emperors, often spoke of this inner sanctuary. He believed that true power lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering our reactions to it. By cultivating self-discipline, we fortify these mental walls, making them impervious to anything that seeks to disrupt our equilibrium. It's about creating a space inside yourself where calmness reigns, no matter how turbulent life becomes. So take a moment now to picture your own inner citadel. What does it look like? Is it grand and imposing, standing tall against adversity? Or perhaps it's serene and quiet, a refuge for reflection and renewal? Whatever form it takes, remember that its strength comes from your ability to guard it wisely. Every time you choose to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, every time you refuse to let someone else dictate your emotions, you reinforce those walls. Building this fortress isn't something done overnight. It requires consistent effort and practice, but with each small victory, each instance when you maintain composure despite provocation, you add another layer of protection. And over time, this resilience transforms into unshakable confidence, allowing you to face even the harshest critiques with grace and poise. As you continue on this journey toward building your inner citadel, ask yourself, how will I protect my mind today? Will I let external voices shape my mood, or will I stand firm in my principles? The choice is always yours, and the power to build an unbreakable fortress resides within you alone. Virtue ethics lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it plays a pivotal role in building resilience against criticism. In Stoicism, virtue is defined as living in harmony with nature, acting in accordance with reason, and cultivating qualities like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. When we align our actions with these virtues, we create an inner compass that guides us through life's challenges, criticism included. Instead of being swayed by external opinions, we can focus on whether our choices reflect who we truly are and what we stand for. Epictetus once said, "It is not things themselves that disturb people, but their judgments about those things." This insight reminds us that criticism only has power over us when we allow it to define our worth. By prioritizing moral excellence and staying true to our values, we strip away much of the sting from others' critiques. After all, if your actions stem from integrity and purpose, why should you let someone else's opinion derail you? Take a moment to reflect. What are your core principles? Are there areas in your life where you might be letting fear of judgment overshadow your commitment to doing what's right? Remember, resilience isn't about avoiding criticism altogether. It's about standing firm in your convictions, no matter what comes your way. When you live virtuously, you free yourself from the chains of other people's expectations and discover a strength rooted in authenticity. As we move forward, consider how this principle could transform the way you approach feedback or adversity. Would shifting your focus toward alignment with your values change how you respond to criticism? Let's explore this idea further as we continue unraveling the tools of Stoic wisdom. Imagine this: you're standing at the edge of a river, watching the water rush past. Suddenly, a rock tumbles into the stream, sending ripples outward. But here's the key: those ripples eventually settle, and the river continues its steady flow. Now, think of criticism as that rock disrupting your mental calm. Self-mastery is about learning to be the river, steady, patient, and unshaken by temporary disturbances. Self-mastery teaches us how to manage our immediate reactions so we can respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. When someone offers harsh feedback or critiques something important to us, it's natural to feel defensive or upset. However, Stoicism encourages restraint, taking a moment to pause before reacting. This small act allows emotions to settle, giving way to clearer thinking and better decision-making. As Seneca once advised, a man must conquer himself before he can hope to master anything else. His wisdom reminds us that patience and self-control are foundational virtues for navigating life's challenges, including criticism. Here's a practical tip. Next time you receive feedback, try waiting 5 minutes before responding. Use those moments not to dwell on the critique, but to reflect on what it means and whether it holds value. By delaying your reaction, you give yourself space to process without being swept away by emotion. It's a simple practice, yet one with profound effects. It helps turn potential storms into gentle currents. Remember, mastering yourself isn't about suppressing feelings entirely. It's about acknowledging them while choosing how they influence your actions. In doing so, you cultivate resilience against criticism and build strength from within. And just like the river, you'll learn to carry on smoothly, no matter what rocks come your way. Imagine this scenario: you've just completed a project you poured your heart into, and you share it with 2 colleagues for feedback. The first one says, "This is incredible. You've nailed every detail." The second responds, "It's okay, but there are some glaring issues here." Now you're left standing in the middle, unsure which critique to trust. Sound familiar? This is where the Stoic practice of judging criticism objectively comes into play. At its core, this technique encourages us to step back from our emotions and evaluate feedback rationally. Not all criticism is equal. Some is well-intentioned and insightful, while other comments may be fueled by bias, misunderstanding, or even jealousy. By sharpening our discernment, we can separate what's truly helpful from what Marcus Aurelius might call mere noise. As he once wrote, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." In essence, don't blindly accept or reject criticism. Instead, approach it with reason and thoughtfulness. So how do we put this into action? Start by creating a habit of identifying constructive takeaways from each piece of feedback. Keep a simple list noting what specifically resonates with you and why. For example, if someone points out that your work lacks clarity, ask yourself whether they're right, and if so, how you can improve. Over time, this process trains your mind to focus on actionable insights rather than getting bogged down by negativity or praise. Remember, the goal isn't to please everyone, it's to grow wiser and more resilient through thoughtful reflection. After all, true progress lies not in avoiding criticism, but in learning how to navigate it wisely. Society often tells us that we need validation, that our worth is tied to what others think of us. But here's a thought: what if you didn't need anyone's approval at all? What if the opinions of others held no real power over your sense of self? This might sound radical, but it's at the heart of Stoicism, and particularly the principle of indifference to external opinions. Let me explain why this matters. When we seek approval from others, we give away a piece of our autonomy. We allow other people who may not even know us well to dictate how we feel about ourselves. That's dangerous because it means our happiness becomes dependent on factors outside of our control. And as Epictetus so wisely put it, it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. In the same vein, it's not what others say that affects us, it's how much weight we assign to those words. Think about the pressures in your own life for a moment. Are there certain expectations or standards you've internalized simply because society says they're important? Maybe it's societal norms around success, relationships, or appearance. These external forces can subtly shape how you view yourself if you let them. But Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in recognizing these influences and choosing not to be swayed by them. By practicing indifference to external opinions, you reclaim your inner freedom. You learn to focus on what truly matters, living according to your values, pursuing meaningful goals, and staying aligned with your authentic self. It's liberating, and yes, it takes practice, but the payoff is immense. Imagine walking through life unburdened by the fear of judgment. Doesn't that sound like a kind of peace worth striving for? So take a step back today and reflect on where you might be seeking approval unnecessarily. Where are the sources of pressure in your life, and how can you start letting go of their hold on you? The answers lie within. You just have to trust yourself enough to find them. Imagine a craftsman who spends years perfecting his pottery, only to realize that the pursuit of flawlessness has slowed his growth. Instead of creating masterpieces, he finds himself stuck in endless revisions, afraid to unveil his work for fear of criticism. Now contrast this with another artisan who focuses on making small, steady improvements each day, embracing imperfections as part of the learning process. This second craftsman not only grows more skilled over time, but also becomes less sensitive to judgment because he's focused on progress rather than perfection. This is a lesson deeply rooted in Stoicism, particularly through the teachings of Seneca. He reminds us that life isn't about achieving an unattainable ideal, it's about moving forward consistently, no matter how small the steps may seem. When we shift our mindset from chasing perfection to celebrating incremental progress, we reduce our vulnerability to criticism. After all, if you're always improving, there's little room for self-doubt or worry about what others think. Let me paint this picture further. Imagine breaking down your goals into tiny, manageable pieces. Each completed piece represents a win, no matter how minor it might seem. Maybe it's finishing one page of writing when you aimed for 5, or completing a single workout session after months away from exercise. These small victories build momentum and reinforce resilience against negativity. Over time, they compound into significant achievements, and along the way, you learn to view setbacks as opportunities for growth instead of failures. Seneca once said, "He who does not know how to direct his own life is dragged along by it." By focusing on progress, you take control of your journey, steering clear of the paralyzing pressure of perfectionism. You start seeing mistakes not as flaws but as stepping stones toward mastery. And when someone critiques your work, you can respond thoughtfully, knowing deep down that you're already moving forward. So here's a challenge for you. Next time you face criticism, pause and reflect. Are you letting the fear of being imperfect hold you back? Or are you actively taking steps, however small, toward becoming better today than you were yesterday? Celebrate those steps, no matter their size, because every step forward weakens the grip of doubt and strengthens your resolve. Progress, not perfection. That's where true strength lies. Let's shift our focus now to a powerful yet often overlooked technique for building resilience against criticism: cultivating empathy for those who critique us. It might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, why would we want to understand someone who seems intent on tearing us down? But here's the thing: when we approach criticism with compassion and curiosity, it can transform even the harshest feedback into an opportunity for growth. Think about this. Behind every critique lies a human being with their own set of experiences, fears, and motivations. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoics, reminds us that the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding ourselves with the majority. In other words, he encourages us to rise above knee-jerk reactions and instead seek deeper understanding. When applied to criticism, this means stepping back from our emotional response and asking ourselves, what drives this person? Why do they feel compelled to speak up? To practice empathy in action, try imagining the critic's perspective. Are they offering constructive advice out of concern for your improvement? Or perhaps they're projecting their own insecurities onto you. Either way, by taking a moment to consider their intentions, not just their words, you create space for clarity rather than conflict. This mental shift diffuses tension and allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reactively. Here's how it works in real life. Imagine receiving feedback from a colleague or friend that feels unnecessarily harsh. Instead of allowing frustration to take over, pause and ask yourself what might be driving them. Maybe they're under pressure themselves, or maybe they genuinely believe their input will help you succeed. By reframing the situation through empathetic eyes, you disarm the sting of the critique while gaining valuable insight into both yourself and others. Empathy isn't just a soft skill, it's a tool for resilience. So next time you face criticism, remember that seeing things from another's point of view doesn't diminish your worth, it enriches your understanding. And that, my friends, is where true strength lies. Reframing criticism isn't about ignoring it or brushing it off, it's about flipping the script on how we perceive it. Imagine every critique, no matter how harsh, as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. This mindset shift transforms what feels like an attack into an opportunity for growth. It's not always easy, but Stoicism teaches us that our perspective can turn even the most challenging situations into something valuable. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, famously said that obstacles are what show what we're made of. He believed in turning obstacles upside down, meaning that instead of seeing difficulties as roadblocks, we should view them as tools to strengthen ourselves. When someone criticizes you, they're offering you a chance to reflect, adapt, and improve. By embracing this idea, you take control of the narrative. You decide whether criticism defines you negatively or propels you forward positively. Think back to a time when someone criticized you unfairly or harshly. At first, it probably stung, maybe even left you feeling defensive or discouraged. But now, pause for a moment. Could there have been a lesson hidden within that critique? Perhaps it pushed you to work harder, communicate better, or reconsider your approach. Every criticism carries a seed of truth if we're willing to look closely enough. The real power lies in choosing to see it not as a failure but as fuel for progress. So, the next time you face criticism, try asking yourself, What can I learn here? How might this help me grow stronger? With practice, reframing becomes second nature, turning each challenge into another step toward becoming the best version of yourself. Authenticity is the cornerstone of resilience, and when it comes to facing criticism, staying true to your values is one of the most powerful shields you can have. Imagine standing firm in a storm, not because you're stubborn, but because your foundation is built on something unshakable, your principles. This is what Seneca teaches us. Living in alignment with our deepest beliefs isn't just a moral choice, it's a practical strategy for enduring life's challenges. When we consistently act in accordance with our values, we cultivate an inner strength that no external force can dismantle. Criticism loses its sting when it doesn't align with who we are at our core. For example, if honesty is a value you hold dear, then even harsh words accusing you of dishonesty won't derail you because you know the truth within yourself. It's this unwavering integrity that fortifies your spirit against negativity. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." While he was speaking about material wealth, his wisdom applies here as well. When we chase approval or validation from others instead of staying rooted in our own principles, we become impoverished in spirit. On the other hand, living authentically enriches us, giving us the confidence to face criticism head-on without letting it define us. Take a moment to reflect. What are the values that guide your life? Are they clear to you, or do they sometimes get blurred by the noise of external expectations? The more deeply you understand and commit to these guiding principles, the stronger your resilience becomes. Remember, consistency in values isn't about being perfect, it's about striving to align your actions with what truly matters to you, even when the world tries to pull you off course. By anchoring yourself in authenticity, you create a mental and emotional fortress that protects you from the storms of criticism. And isn't that worth the effort? Imagine this scenario. A colleague offers you feedback on a project, pointing out what they perceive as significant flaws. Your initial reaction might be defensive. After all, you poured your time and energy into that work. But instead of arguing or dismissing their input outright, you choose to acknowledge their perspective without necessarily agreeing with it. This is the Stoic practice of acceptance without agreement, and it's a powerful tool for managing criticism while preserving both your peace of mind and the relationship. Now, let me clarify something important here. Accepting criticism doesn't mean endorsing it as truth. It simply means recognizing its existence and giving it the respect it deserves by listening attentively. By doing so, you create space for calm reflection rather than allowing emotions like anger or frustration to take over. As Marcus Aurelius once said, accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. This principle reminds us that we can meet the world where it stands without surrendering our own judgment or integrity. Let's break this down further with an example. Suppose someone tells you your presentation lacked clarity. Instead of reacting defensively, you could respond with something like, "Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I appreciate your input." Notice how this response acknowledges the other person's opinion without requiring you to adopt it as your own. You haven't conceded anything about the quality of your presentation, but you've demonstrated openness and respect, which fosters mutual understanding. This technique isn't just about diffusing tension in conversations. It also empowers you to separate yourself emotionally from potentially harmful criticism. When you accept feedback in this way, you maintain control over how much weight you give it. It's okay to hear what others have to say without letting it define who you are or what you're capable of achieving. And remember, every piece of criticism carries some value, even if only as an opportunity to better understand another person's perspective. As we move forward, consider how this approach might apply to your own experiences. How often do you find yourself getting caught up in arguments over differing opinions? Could practicing acceptance without agreement help you navigate those moments more gracefully? The beauty of Stoicism lies in its practicality, offering tools like these to build resilience against even the toughest critiques. Trials are the touchstones of our character, shaping us into something stronger and wiser. Let that thought linger for a moment. Life's challenges aren't just obstacles to overcome, they're opportunities to grow. And when we shift our perspective, even the toughest situations can become sources of gratitude. Gratitude might not be the first thing on your mind during difficult times, but it plays a powerful role in how we respond to criticism or adversity. When you practice being thankful for life's hurdles, you reduce defensiveness and open yourself up to learning. Instead of seeing every challenge as an attack, you begin to view it as part of your journey, a necessary step toward becoming better. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, reminds us that joy isn't found in avoiding hardship but in embracing it with purpose. He believed that true strength lies in finding value within difficulties. By appreciating the lessons hidden inside tough moments, we gain resilience and inner peace. This doesn't mean you have to love pain, it means you acknowledge its role in helping you evolve. So how do you put this into action? Start small. The next time you face a setback or criticism, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Then go further by expressing genuine thanks, not because the situation was pleasant, but because it pushed you to grow. Gratitude transforms struggles into stepping stones, making them less daunting and more meaningful. Remember, growth often comes disguised as discomfort, but if you embrace it with gratitude, you'll find strength you never knew you had. Now, let's explore another technique. Imagine this. You're walking a challenging path, and every step forward feels like climbing uphill. Now imagine having companions who not only understand the terrain, but also offer their hands to help you along the way. In the Stoic tradition, community and mentorship serve as invaluable tools for building resilience against criticism, and they can transform that difficult climb into a shared journey of growth. Engaging with others who practice Stoicism opens doors to wisdom far beyond what any single individual could achieve alone. When we connect with like-minded individuals, we gain access to perspectives that challenge our assumptions, refine our understanding, and strengthen our resolve. This isn't just about finding people to agree with us, it's about cultivating relationships where mutual respect and learning flourish. As Seneca famously wrote in his letters to Lucilius, even across centuries, these exchanges remind us that true mentors guide through both words and actions. They show us how to face adversity with grace and courage, offering lessons rooted in lived experience rather than mere theory. But why stop at studying ancient texts? Modern communities, whether local groups or online forums, offer opportunities to engage directly with fellow seekers. These spaces allow you to share your struggles, celebrate victories, and receive constructive feedback from those who truly understand what it means to navigate life's challenges through a Stoic lens. By surrounding yourself with supportive networks, you create an environment where criticism becomes less daunting because it is met with collective wisdom and encouragement. So here's the question: how might embracing community and mentorship enhance your ability to withstand criticism? Perhaps there's someone in your circle whose insights resonate deeply with you, or maybe joining a new group could introduce you to voices you haven't yet considered. Whatever path you choose, remember that no one succeeds in isolation. Together, we build strength not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. The next time you feel weighed down by harsh words or external judgment, reach out, find your tribe, seek guidance, because when we walk together, no mountain seems too high to climb. Building resilience against criticism is not about avoiding discomfort, but embracing it as an opportunity for growth. Throughout our exploration of the 18 Stoic techniques, we've uncovered powerful strategies to transform how we perceive and respond to criticism. From distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot, to viewing challenges as stepping stones rather than obstacles, these principles empower us to cultivate inner strength. By practicing self-awareness, focusing on virtue, and adopting a mindset of continuous improvement, we equip ourselves with tools that transcend fleeting emotions and foster lasting peace. The beauty of Stoicism lies in its simplicity. It teaches us to meet adversity head-on, armed with reason and clarity. These techniques remind us that criticism, far from being a threat, is a mirror reflecting areas where we can grow. When faced with harsh words or unjust critiques, remember Epictetus' timeless wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This quote encapsulates the essence of Stoicism. Our responses define us, not external events. As you reflect on this journey through Stoic practices, consider this question: how will you apply these principles in your daily life moving forward? Resilience isn't built overnight, but with consistent effort and mindfulness, it becomes second nature. Let each challenge be an invitation to refine your character and deepen your understanding of yourself. The path may not always be easy, but the rewards are invaluable: a calm mind, unwavering resolve, and the ability to thrive amidst life's uncertainty.